Yo guys, what is up? It's Teach here, coming at you again with another video over on Ark Survival Ascended over on Extinction, which just released. Now I wanted to show you in this video, there are 8 different beaver dam locations inside of this game. Now you can go ahead and use the map and try and figure it out because you will find them. It just takes a lot of time. But in this video, I am quite literally going to show you exactly where you can find all of them. So the major regions are 1, 2, and 3. You cannot find them. I've heard people try and tell me you cannot find them over here. So let's go ahead and hit up let's back up here. These are the 3 easiest ones to access. And then we'll go to the more complex ones, but there is one area that you will get more beaver stuff than you've had in your entire life in Ark, and enough beaver dams where they literally respawn by the time you do the circle. So it's kind of cool. All right, so let's go ahead and start at the first one. The first one and the easiest one to get access to is Greenob. If you go to Greenob, you will notice there's some very shallow water, and beavers will spawn over here. Now, the one negative is there's a lot of things that'll kill beavers that spawn over here. So sometimes you only get 2 or 3 beaver dams, but you can see there's some right here, and then some right over in this region, and then some, like, they can spawn anywhere on this entire platform. So that's a good way to find early game beaver dams. It'll give you a couple hundred cementing paste and the things you need. Please don't be the person that leaves the actual pay or anything. Just take everything. Don't be one of those people. But that's the first and easiest location. So we're going to go ahead and go to the next location, and that is in the center of the city. Pretty much the exact center, actually. So what you're looking for specifically is you're looking for the waterfalls. Beavers can spawn in this region right here. You'll see a beaver dam right over here. And the cords, again, they're in the middle of my screen just so you can see them. You know, I should probably just have the awesome spyglass out so they're just constantly there so I don't have people asking me questions. I'll just make one right now. Nope, that's it. Do I not have the spyglass? Thought I had awesome spyglass, but this will work just fine, I guess. And let's just put it right here. All right, so should have the cords now in the upper left corner. So yeah, basically you can see where I am now. This is the center of the map. I will not move cords from the upper left so you can see where I am all the time. There's a good chunk that'll be here. Can sometimes be more difficult because the snakes will spawn over here, but you can get quite a few beaver dams in this region just by hitting them up. And yeah, not a bad location to find beaver dams at all. Now, following down this way, if you kind of follow down this little region over here, there will be a drop point where a waterfall goes right beneath this region. And there is another beaver dam spawn right over here. You can see the beavers in this lake already. This one doesn't get hit up very often, and I don't know why, because if you go in the water, there are quite a few beaver dams. Now, it's kind of harder to get, obviously. I see one beaver dam there, one beaver dam there, and maybe there's not anymore right here, but you can always go up kind of high and see where the beaver dams are in the water. They will also place them outside of the water. It can just sometimes be hard to spot because this is kind of where the redwood stuff is. So sometimes the plants will cover up the entire beaver dam. So just be aware of that. But this is spot number 3. Now, spot number 4 in the actual sanctuary is going to be all the way to the eastern side. And you can kind of see it. It's a little mini pond that's got a whole bunch of structures on it, and that is right over here in this kind of like S-shaped area. Now, this entire river right here, or whatever you want to call it, I guess it's like a man-made thing, can spawn beavers and will have beaver dams in it. Sometimes, very rarely, you can go to the outsides of it and you will find there's 2 more beaver dams. Are those rocks or beaver dams? Nope, those are beaver dams. And you can kind of go up this entire thing and get a significant chunk of beaver dams. They will spawn on the edges of it. It just kind of depends on where it spawns in randomly. And then in this bigger pool, you'll usually find a few beaver dams as well. You can see there's one right there. It just depends on where the beavers spawned in, because beavers share spawns with fish. So once you find them, it's kind of, you know, it's a little bit easier. Now, again, you will have the little jumpers of death over here, so watch out for the Caprisuchus. But outside of that, this is the 4th and final location inside of the sanctuary. Now, the next location, not my favorite, nor anyone's favorite, but I have to mention it because on official servers, it's going to be hard to get where I just mentioned. But over here, all the way into the basically the dead center of this zone over here, there is a beaver spawn. Now, this is a very dangerous beaver spawn, I'd like to mention. You can see him in the water right there. It's specifically, if I go up right at this point where that waterfall comes down, in this exact cord. Now, this is a little bit more dangerous because you have a lot of things that can kill you, but because of that, people don't typically pull these beaver dams. You can usually get a few, I'd say 3 or 4, in this region, and sometimes you get lucky and they've moved up here a little bit, and there's one up there. Is that a beaver dam? Let's see. Nope, not a beaver dam. But you can get lucky, and occasionally, because the beaver dams will spawn up here, and they usually are pretty easy to access. So this is the only location inside of the snow zone. They don't spawn anywhere else in the snow zone. Some people are like, cool, they do not spawn over in that giant lake. It is just right here, over in this giant lake. Just to give you a awareness of what's going on over here. There are no beavers that spawn over here. There are the giant crocodiles, and there are penguins that spawn around here, but that's about it. You can get quite a few penguins just going to the edge of this area and going for, the penguin kills, but that's up to you if you want to do that. There's quite a few, but I wouldn't really focus on it because a lot of people hit them up over here. So those are some of the, easiest ways over here. Now, the last location is one of the best end game locations to get cementing paste that I've ever seen in my entire life inside of Ark. It is faster than having Acatinas in the hundreds, and that is because in the Sunken Forest, there's a special location, and I don't know if you want to call it like Beaver Valley or whatever you want to call it, right? So there are 4 super common spawns inside of the zone down here. If you go to the Sunken Forest and just go down to the bottom, the entire bottom of this is lined with a river. Now this river, the entire river and any water in here spawns beaver dams. Now the cool thing is I have found beaver dams in just about every section of this river. You can find them literally anywhere. I found them over in this back corner all the way up this. Let's just see where I see the first one, because I just rendered this in. So there's one right there. So there's a giant beaver dam, just so you can see it. And if you just kind of swim this river, and usually what people will do is there's another one right there, is they'll take a boat or a raft and they will just go in circles around this thing until they get bored. Now, I literally mean until they get bored, because by the time you do one full circle down here, there is going to be more and more and more beaver dams. So you can just do one run like once every other week or something like that and not need to come back for a significant chunk of time. So if there's beaver dams, or if there's beavers, there can be beaver dams. You see there's beavers there. Sometimes they'll be back behind this. It's not super common, but it occasionally happens. And this is like the late game way to get the beaver dams over on this map. Now, I have personally never seen, people swear by it. I don't swear by it because I've never personally seen them up in this region. People tell me they spawn up in here, but every time I've ever been here, I've never seen them. So, don't go up higher. That's my kind of rule of thumb. Stay at the very base level where the waterfalls fall down and into, and you will get beaver dams in the stupid numbers. There's another one right there. There's another one right there. And you just swim down this river, and I swear to you, the entire thing can be done in a raft, and you will have enough cementing paste to power your entire base. A lot of alphas will run this trick. Everyone will run this trick because you can also get a significant chunk of wood, mushrooms, and flowers, which can be a pain in the butt. There's another one right there. They can be hard to spot, so just be aware of that. But as long as you're paying attention and kind of just like looking down, beaver dams are kind of obvious to see because they just look different. They don't quite look like a rock, but they don't quite not look like a rock either. So just pay attention and you will get a significant chunk. Now, again, this entire thing is swimmable, and you can get a ton. I mean, there's a bunch of metal down here, so you might as well hit that up too. But you'll get a ton of beaver dams, especially around this island. This island is well known as like people just do circles around this thing, because once the servers start going, people don't typically tame beavers. They tame the gotchas, and they tame the bears, and they tame the stegos. So beavers typically just continue to increase in number because there's nothing really down here that kills them, because they're the only things in the water. So there's just more and more beavers, which means more and more and more beaver dams. So you can swim around this island at the chords that I'm at right now. There's already one spawned in right there, and just get a absolutely ridiculous number. Now, you could go all the way to the back side of this. I typically don't, because at this point, this is where the cave starts. I don't go back here. I've never seen beaver spawn on here, but they could, I guess. As long as there's a fish spawn, technically there can be a beaver spawn. So, yeah, so this is the best way to get it. So anyways, there's you could probably get, I don't know, at least 50,000 if you just spent like 2 hours down here and just did circle after circle after circle, because each beaver dam gives you a couple hundred. And if you just, I've just rendered this in, and there was like 10 or 15 that we saw. So there's like 2,000 right there. So yeah, if you spent some time down here, this is the best way to do it. So anyways, that is all of the 8 beaver dams, and hopefully this video helps you out. And if you don't mind, smash that like button, leave a comment below for the algorithm, and then consider subbing the channel. All right, Teach. Out.